The Globe on the SABC News Channel, and to our viewers on SABC3, welcome to you as well. Let's catch you up with our headlines this hour. South Africa reports a further 126 COVID-19 related deaths, while new infections are up by 2,336 in the last 24 hours. Zimbabwean journalist Hopewell Chin'ono and opposition politician Jacob Ngarivhume were released on bail after more than 6 weeks behind bars. Opposition leaders in Tanzania have expressed doubt that October 28 elections will be free and fair as campaigning has begun to intensify. And the United States has imposed sanctions on International Criminal Court prosecutor Fatou Bensouda over her probe into whether American forces committed war crimes in Afghanistan. Zimbabwean journalist Hopewell Chin'ono and opposition politician Jacob Ngarivhume have been released from prison after the High Court in the country granted them bail. The court imposed strict bail conditions, though, which include being banned from using mass communication such as social media, as well as surrendering their passports. Chin'ono and Ngarivhume were arrested in July following their promotion of a nationwide anti-corruption demonstration. The state charged them with inciting public violence.
My spirit is not killed by this incarceration. A luta continua will never stop.
Finally, a free man. The young politician spent more than 6 weeks in prison, and after 4 applications to both the magistrate and high courts, he was deemed fit to be released on bail.
At long last, he has been admitted to bail on very strict and stringent conditions. He has been ordered to deposit $50,000 with the clerk of court, Harare Magistrates Court, to surrender his passport, to report 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at Waterfalls Police Station, to reside at the address that he furnished to the police.
Walking out jubilant, Jacob Ngarivhume maintained his anti-corruption campaign.
Our hope for a new Zimbabwe is renewed and invigorated. We'll get there. We dream a Zimbabwe free of corruption, a Zimbabwe that respects human rights, and a Zimbabwe that respects the rule of law. And we'll never relent on that.
Hopewell Chin'ono's bail comes at an opportune time as he started exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19. His doctor advised him to self-isolate, something he could not do whilst imprisoned. The High Court granted bail after finding that the charges were related to a specific time frame, and since the July 31st demonstrations had passed, he posed a minimal risk to society.
These bail conditions are extremely strict. We feel that they are overly stringent. They do even restrict his constitutional rights. Of course, that we disagree with. But at this stage, we are happy that he has been granted bail.
Meanwhile, Chin'ono is still awaiting his COVID-19 results. He took the test on Monday. Nama Polani, SABC News.
To discuss this a little further, I'm now joined via Zoom from Zimbabwe by organizer of the People Power Movement, Makomborero Haruzivishe. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for hosting us and also for illuminating, the voices of the ordinary people in Zimbabwe. Because of military state capture, most of the avenues, like the media, the parliament, the courts, and all other legitimate formal institutions which are meant to illuminate justice and the voice of the people are captured. So we are very much delighted when you step in to ensure that our voices are not muzzled and the real truth on the ground is heard, both in Zimbabwe and abroad.
All right, let's begin with the events of today. We have 2, I'll call them activists, one in the media, one in politics, being released on bail, but they had been in jail for 6 weeks, denied bail several times. Is this something that you see often, that people are taken in, denied bail for a period of time, and then released?
It's unfortunate, the release of Jacob Ngarivhume, the release of Hopewell Chin'ono. It's a, bittersweet event. Bitter in that they were not supposed to be arrested in the first place. They are fighting corruption. They're saying no to corruption. But we've corrupt people. We've corrupted the justice system. They've corrupted the police. They've corrupted the courts. And they are attempting now to corrupt even the national conscience, the national soul of the nation in terms of, the way how we feel things should be run. So they were not supposed to be arrested in the first place. But if they were arrested, now they've been released. And we can't, it's not, justice delayed is justice denied. There's nothing to celebrate. What is there to appreciate is that at least they came back alive. They're still alive. Because the intention of the regime was to get them killed. They exposed them to pandemics like corona. They exposed them to hunger. They exposed them to malnutrition. And they exposed them to, in those prisons, they are filthy and everything. So it's something to, at least, appreciate that they came out alive, and we don't appreciate the regime for releasing them, because it should not have arrested them in the first place.
Why do you think they've been released after so long? Was it pressure?
Number one, it was pressure. It was pressure. They may try to parrot that it's just, but it was pressure. They know reason number one why SNPF released them is that these people, they were political prisoners. They were not criminal prisoners. They were purely political prisoners. And now with the pressure by the people of Zimbabwe, and also people to people, people power solidarity of people in Zimbabwe and abroad through the Zimbabwean Lives Matter campaign, and which, triggered the intervention and interest of the region and the national community. That President Ramaphosa is deployed, envoys to Zimbabwe, led by Esma Kashule. They want to appear like there is natural course of law and rule of law in Zimbabwe. But the reality is that what they did to Hopewell Chin'ono, what they did to Jacob Ngarivhume, and all other prisoners, including Godfrey Praone and Job Sikala, who are currently in prison, it's not good. It was not fair. It was illegal. So releasing them now, it will not change the situation on the ground. Releasing them now does not amount to removal of corruption. Releasing them now does not amount to having us Zimbabweans with food on our plates. Releasing them now will not return the over 60 million, COVID funds stolen by Emerson Mnangagwa's family. Releasing them now will not stop us from demanding justice. We have case of abductions, we have case of illegal arrests, illegal imprisonments. Yes, we know we have the likes of Itungamire Madzoke, last Mangama, and hundreds others who were arrested and summarily, sentenced. They went through, it was, if ever, in the history of kangaroo courts, January 2019, the protests against the fuel hikes, they define, the Zimbabwe justice system as a kangaroo system, because hundreds were arrested, denied legal representation, and some trials were held and they were convicted. There are hundreds in prison right now. So the release of these two today will not erase all that, and we will not forget. They may try to window dress for the envoys that are coming from South Africa, but they will never window dress our quest for justice, our demand for justice. And I'm sure you heard different the messages when they were coming out of freedom. It proved that they thought they'd buried them. They'd buried, the Zimbabweans' quest for transparency and end to corruption. But it was a seed. It has now blossomed, and it's a flower. And the revolution is just but starting.
All right, so you've started and you're part of the organizers of this People Power movement. Why the need for such a movement? What is it that you are yearning for as a movement?
What you're yearning for as of now, it's an inclusive and democratic Zimbabwe where citizens' issues and concerns are addressed. And with over the years, the fights we have had, I can date it back to the liberation struggle where people were fighting for one man, one vote. It summarized the demands for political freedoms, civil liberty. Then we got to, lend to the people, the struggle for land. It encompassed, social and economic rights that after independence, there was need then to empower, the black people who had been historically not been, been historically disenfranchised by colonialism. But after the years, it's now 40 years of independence. One man, one vote, it's a farce. We fought, and the results which come out are something otherwise. Due to military state capture in Zimbabwe, it's a reality. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission can no longer eliminate our voices. Why? Because it's captured. Even if we go to the Constitutional Court, it was proven by the 2010 election, where the People's President, Nelson Chamisa, he lost in the courts, but he had won in the hearts and minds of the people and also in the ballot. We go to even now, we see the government of Zimbabwe is even trying to reverse back the land reform program, and take land back from the black majority, give it to the former colonizers, which is also a farce. And why? Because the initial setup, the people of Zimbabwe did not benefit, and now they are being forced to pay huge sums of money to SANPF, and we all know that it's a huge scam. So now, to answer the question as to the need now for people power, it's because there is no replacement for action. And as young people, we have no option but to really grab the freedom. We have to take up the initiative and fight for what belongs to us, because those in power do not even care for what our aspirations, socio-economic and political. All they care for is self-enrichment. It has been proven by years and decades of corruption and plunder, years and decades of human rights abuses. We can go back to the 1980s, where because they differed with SAP and Joshua Ngomo, they committed Kukura gross human rights violations, characterized by abductions, some are arrests, illegal arrests and detentions, the last Frukout Masu. We know they died, they were killed by this very same regime that we are facing today.
We're running out of time, so I just wanted to ask, if the Electoral Commission cannot deliver elections that you deem free and fair, what can you do as young people to get the democracy that you desire?
The answer is simple. If formal institutions like the Parliament, the courts, the Electoral Commission, and other, independent commissions, as encompassed the Constitution, those formal institutions cannot illuminate the will of the people, then we have no option but to take to the streets, because the streets now remain sovereign ground. It's the only space where we can illuminate our voice and pure and undiluted, issues. We saw on the 31st of July, and as we move forward, they cannot monopolize. Yes, they are trying to use COVID-19 to close that down the democratic space. They are trying to use COVID-19, to militarize everything using the lockdown. But we have a duty, and we will make sure that the streets remain sovereign, and we will defend them. We are ready to surrender our lives before we surrender, the national democratic revolution. So the only option now is the streets, and is to act, and none but ourselves can free ourselves. And that's the reality. But if we wait for elections under these current conditions, we know, just like the apartheid government, it never won an election against the black majority South Africans up till there was a revolution. Even in Zimbabwe, the Rhodesians were winning elections, despite the fact that they were only white minority and black majority. But it was after a vigorous, struggle, and and the elections which came were just but to formalize a takeover by the people.
Yeah.
As what will happen also in Zimbabwe. The next election that will be held, will be there to formalize the takeover of the people, because people power is stronger than the people in power.
Makomborero, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very, very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us. Yet another voice coming out of Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for your time.